There's been reactions after former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amaechi, after he dismissed his ongoing feud with the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, stating that he does not respond to children. Amaechi's comments came after Wike's recent criticisms, where he accused Amaechi of being hungry for power. Amaechi spoke to Charles Anyagulu on Arise Prime Time. He also mocked Wike's perceived self-made image, stating that Wike made himself chief of staff, made himself governor, made himself minister, and made himself local government chairman. Let's take a look.
That man that says he made governor, how did you make this man governor?
Right.
Nobody has ever asked that question. Two,
so how did you become governor?
I don't know. I went to court. Latif Pabemi is my lawyer. He's not the Attorney General, so you should ask. So that's one thing that needs to be made very, very clear. Two, it is not true that, I'll call him Mohammed Bello Adeleke, flew all the way from Abuja to Port Harcourt, that Wike asked me to make him Commissioner for Finance. And I said, no, he has to work under me. I want him as Chief of Staff so I can supervise him. I didn't offer him Commissioner for Finance. You see, I'm saying this because I don't want to join issues with children.
Sure.
I don't want to join issues with children.
Violent. Rufai will say violent. I don't want to join issues with children. I actually heard you this morning say, no, that's not true. Wike is not a child.
He's not a child.
But I'd like for you to address, some of the comments he made right there, trying to give us the background history of how Wike got into power.
Well, he was just saying basically that he was somebody that he employed. Well, I don't know whether he should refer to him as his personal employee, because in the real sense, if you construct it, Wike as chief of staff to the governor was invariably serving the people of Rivers State. It was government. It was Rivers State government, not, working for Amaechi in his personal capacity. All of them were serving the state. But he made a point about appointment. Usually when people are looking for appointments, when they know that this man is going to win, they will start lobbying. So, and he said that, well, Wike was interested in the position of Commissioner of Finance, but that he thought he should make him Chief of Staff so that he will be able to supervise him. And I said, saying this man is not good enough for Commissioner of Finance, let him be his Chief of Staff so that I can supervise him. It's a very mischievous innuendo. I don't want to explain the nature of the innuendo. Other people can stretch it out.
Explain.
I say it's an innuendo.
Litigation. Explain. You're a lawyer.
Well, it's an innuendo. Let's leave it at that. In other words, anyway. But he also says, he would rather not talk about Wike, because you see that throughout that interview, he didn't mention his name once. He said, I don't want to join issues with him. It's beneath him to be expanding insults in the public space with somebody who once served him. And he made a point about character, which we were saying yesterday, that, look, this man never acknowledges anybody that ever did him a favor. In other words, he was saying, this is just, a transactional character. He will use you, dump you, move on. If it is convenient, he comes back to you. And then he addressed the issue about, how he became governor. And he said it was God, it was the judiciary, it was Sir Peter Odili, and then the people of Rivers State. But I said earlier that he raised more cogent points beyond his, a thief with Nyesom Wike. The point about the fact that he wants the president of Nigeria, President Tinubu, to give a proper accounting with regard to fuel subsidy savings. There are people who have been saying that. And I said President Tinubu has explained that states have more money, debts have been paid, but perhaps, greater transparency that he's asking for. Maybe nobody can argue about that. He says INEC is not above board, and that, political coalitions are finding it very difficult to register political parties and at the conditions, and he compared the present INEC chairman to former chairman Maurice Iwu. Three, he said that this government does not respect the rule of law. But specifically, he was talking about the situation in Rivers State with regard to the declaration of a state of emergency. But we saw Governor Fubara, visiting in the spirit of Salah celebrations, the president of Nigeria. And I was imagining that this should be an opportunity for him to further plead with the president that the 6 months should not extend beyond 6 months, particularly now that the sole administrator is behaving as if he wants to sit tight.
That's where I'm going. Let me take that story, then you can. But, I mean, that was a good interview with Charles Onyango. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I advise our viewers to watch it on our YouTube channel. Well, in the meantime, reactions have trailed the visit by the suspended governor of Rivers State, Similaye Fubara, to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at his residence in Lagos on Tuesday. The visit comes less than a week after Fubara stated his intention to put aside pride and personal interest to restore peace in Rivers State and reconcile with his predecessor, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, whom he refers to as his boss. The details of the meeting were not immediately disclosed. This is their first public meeting since President Tinubu declared state of emergency in Rivers State on March 18th and suspended the governor. Well, let's take a look at some reactions. This is from EJ Tweet. Found this reaction funny. He says, "Is Governor Wike aware?" Is Wike aware, the minister? Well, politicians will always do political things. I made videos calling for the legal suspension to be lifted. And Fubara is smiling with Tinubu. Politics is just a game. Good luck to both of them, Rivers and Nigeria. Well, America wrote, Governor Fubara's Lagos visit to President Tinubu hints a strategic move amidst Rivers State's political storm, with Wike's shadow looming. Fubara might be rethinking alliances, sometimes in politics. If you can't beat them, join them. And you know that we saw a lot of these comments online. When we saw that picture, we were like, hey, state capture. I mean, those are some of the comments. But your thoughts on the visit by Fubara?
You know, earlier in the program, I said, for me personally, I thought the optics were unfortunate because this is an elected official.
Yes.
And, you know, we know that the assumption around it is that he's going to beg and plead. Mm-hmm. Now, if you remember in the month or so leading up to the state of emergency, the president had said that Governor Fubara should just stoop to conquer.
Yes.
That had been his very decisive advice to him. And, well, we see he's finally taking the advice and it's bearing fruit. And it's unfortunate that, you know, politicians will always do what it takes to stay in power or to claim power. It's around power. And where is the will of the people in all of this? Where is the accountability to the people who voted for him? The past 2 years have been stagnant in terms of development in Rivers State because it's been one political issue after the other. However, if you look at it from a political strategy perspective, especially after the statements we saw from the minister of the FCT at the beginning of the week, where he will deliver Rivers State, almost as the alpha and omega of the Rivers State. Well, this is President Tinubu also just reminding him that there's not one alpha and omega in Rivers State. Yes. Don't forget that there's somebody waiting in the corridors of power who is sitting at the throne currently, and based on that might be able to also check and balance your own influence in the state. So, gosh, it's all games that are being played. My heart just bleeds for the people of Rivers State who still need governance.
Rivers State. I mean, Rufia, we did see Governor Wike, I believe it was last month, actually accusing Arise TV of deceiving the governor and making him think that he was... Yes.
He said that?
Live television. He said it. Yes, he
Arise
did.
TV?
Yes, that he was deceived. Go ahead.
There's no way we could have deceived us.
I was wondering who did. Go ahead.
I don't know, because, I mean, the governor should have a mind of his own. So So you say we deceived the governor. We are probably giving us too much metaphysical power.
Yeah.
So how can we deceive?
What do you make of the optics there, though?
It's a very wrong optics.
Yes.
You know what the optics reminds me of? It was just like Miranda in Lagos State singing and thanking them after she was pulled out of office. This is bad optics for democracy. Let's call it spade a spade. In fact, this is one of the saddest days for democracy with these optics. A president that committed a constitutional aberration took an elected governor out by the people, trounced on the rights of an elected governor. Then you, Fubara, because you want the power so much, you are going to beg. How much will you beg? So people like this, when they slap you, when they cut your head, you will beg.
But you know, he did say that he wants peace.
What
so
peace?
He's trying
what peace?
Yeah, that
what
was his
peace?
last comment.
What peace? What peace?
Peace for the people of
Peace
Rivers
is
State.
earned through respect and war. Sometimes you have to sit down and fight. If you have to lose, you have to lose. In the end, isn't Fubara going to live there? Is he going to be governor forever?
No.
So in the end, you are still going to leave the position rather than somebody just trounce on your right like that and you look and you keep going to beg the same person that removed you from the mandate of the people. And you say, this is optics. And he's saying, oh, the other day he said, what did the Fubara say? He said, my mind is living there. But obviously your mind has not left there. If they did state of emergency against you, what you should do is bid your time. After, if they don't give you back, so be it. But he also has something to lose, and it has shown. Oji, you need to stand for. So why do we praise President Tinubu today as last man standing? President Tinubu, if the script were free, would never, the President Tinubu, and I know, and I give him his respect today. I don't agree with me on many things, but I respect that man called President Tinubu. If the tables turn, the President Tinubu, I know, will never cower. And that's why I respect it. That's why it was called last man standing. He will never cower.
Right.
He will never grovel.
Jagaban.
He will Jagaban.
All right.
Jagaban.
All right.
He will stand on his rights. And that's what we expected Fubara to do. You thought it was easy for President Tinubu to fight the might of the central government like Olusegun Obasanjo and the character like Olusegun Obasanjo then. It wasn't easy for him, but he stood his ground. You thought it was easy for him to stay in opposition all these years and fight the might of the PDP before he finally gained one against him. Give him his credit. I'm giving him his credit when it doesn't mean I will not criticize him tomorrow. I'm giving him his credit today. Right. If the tables were turned, President Tinubu will not do this. It's Tinubu I know, and that's why I respect him.
In any case, we don't have a readout of the content of their meeting. We are just assuming that given the circumstances in Rivers State and the declaration of state of emergency, that the reason they went there to see President Tinubu, first time we will see the two of them together since this crisis began. So we assume that you cannot leave the place without talking about the state of emergency. Suppose he just went there to just greet the president in the spirit of Salah, and maybe Rivers state of emergency was not discussed. But okay, you can say it's the unspoken subtext. Right. I mean, you can't just go, I hear you in Lagos, sir.
Well, there's a story that he went to London too now, so, and there was this Dobale thing going on.
We don't have a
well.
readout.
Yes,
we don't
exactly.
have a readout of what transpired.
Yes.
So we can only...
As what? He's a suspended governor.
Interesting time.
He's still the governor of the
I
people.
don't know how many more weeks we have to wait for this suspension to be lifted. Is it already 6 months? I keep asking every time.
No, it's in September.
September.
The state of emergency was March 18,
So we have
2025.
a few more months to go. Well, we'll continue to follow up on the story as always. What President Bola Ahmed Tinubu...
is beginning to enjoy it.
Where?
Who is that?
The sole administrator.
You were going to say that.
I said it.
Wasn't it his wife that was...
You have to go and greet the president. Please, I'm still here. That man is beginning to over-enjoy the place.
It's a case of the Lord has done it finally. finally. The Lord has done it.
He never expected it.
Never expected it.
Well, all right. Well, in the meantime, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also hosted Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State, along with his elder brother, billionaire businessman Adedeji Adeleke, and Afrobeat superstar Davido, at his Lagos residence. Photos of the meetings have since gone viral on social media. Governor Adeleke shared the photos on his X account, stating that the visit was a courtesy call ahead of the Salah celebration. The presence of Davido at the meeting garnered significant public interest and was seen by many as a symbolic moment of unity and intergeneration bridging. Some described the meeting as reflective of President Tinubu's inclusive approach to engaging with leaders across political divide. And this is what Rufai was talking about Tinubu and, the way that he handles his politics. We know that Governor Adeleke is of the PDP, but he has absolutely maintained a cordial relationship with the presidency. This picture has sparked a lot of reactions online. Dr. Amaechi.
No, talking about optics again.
Yes.
We may just apply the same rule about assumptions.
Yes.
That we, applied to the case of Fubara, governor of Rivers State, in Osun State case.
Yes.
Now, Osun State has a major issue with the federal government of Nigeria. The federal government of Nigeria has withheld local government allocations to Osun State for the months of April, May, June. And Osun State has since gone to the Supreme Court to say that in the light of Section 162 of the Constitution, although there is also another Supreme Court judgment, that the federal government cannot withhold allocations to Osun State local councils. The issue is about, is it the APC that is the legitimate, that provides the legitimate council chairman, or is it the PDP, the November 22 local government election, or the 2025 local council election organized by the PDP under Governor Adeleke? The matter went to the Court of Appeal. Now, different interpretations on both sides as to who should be the legitimate local council chairman. So he also has a matter that he will just carry his elder brother, take his nephew, and in the spirit of Salah, you know, they said they went there, courtesy call for Salah.
Yes.
Now, I don't know whether the issue of that local council thing came up. What the AGF Osun State is citing is the AGF Lagos State versus AG Lagos versus AG Federation, in 2004, which involved Governor Tinubu as he then was. And at that time, Lagos State won. Now, another irony here is that in Edo State, they also have local council issues. Is the APC that is in Edo State, right?
Yeah.
Very similar to what you have in Osun. In Edo State, the federal government did not withhold allocations to local councils in Edo State. So, but we don't have a readout, we don't have a statement that this is what they discuss. It's supposed to just be Salah visit. And a lot of people will be going to visit the president for Salah. Now, finally, I also imagine that in the spirit of Salah, I don't know whether Governor Adeleke got a chance to teach the president some dance steps.
How did you know? That was what I was going to ask. I was exactly going to ask.
Because the president too has been dancing. Maybe they should have taken the opportunity.
With Davido in their midst.
With Davido, they have to teach the president some steps.
And he'll be like, then go feel it.
I just want to ask, do you know maybe, was it a reportage or something around it, this time last year, did Fubara go to visit President Tinubu last year?
Something about him going to London.
To London, yes. That's what I said earlier.
No,
I'm saying, did he go last year to visit President Tinubu around Salah?
In Lagos.
Oh, you mean during the Salah thing?
The report I saw was that he went to see him in London.
No, he's talking about the Salah.
Year.
No, that didn't happen. We don't have a report.
Anyway, during Salah period, all the governors,
did it happen
they all come around.
They
will soon carry themselves in a big bus.
Dr. Abati, the question I asked, did it happen last year? Did he
said he doesn't know now, Rufai. Let's move on with that.
Asking.
But I mean, I just thought it was a fun visit with the Davido and the Adeleke there.
You don't have insider information.
I need it. I need to. No, I don't have it.
Okay.
At first, when I saw the pictures, I was like, hey, Emma Bamike.
No, but Davido was with the president.
But the Davido was with the president. So hopefully he was the one who organized the meeting. It was nice to see. And I'd love to see a video. If there was